they sleep eventually, right? To your point.
I'm just saying, they said Sleepless.
Yeah, they lied. This is false advertising. I think that's illegal.
I was just in a goofy mood when I started my notes. That's why I figured I'd get them out of the way now.
Appreciate that.
I have one on here, and you guys will have to help me with it. It just says sneezing on all the food was horrible.
Were you just taking notes on your daughter at a certain point?
Yes. It was when he sat down at the table and there was like the flowers, and like the first thing he did was sneeze all over the flowers.
He just keeps
Coleman,
sneezing
yeah.
over all the food on the table. And I was like, well, this is terrible.
So,
that's what it was.
That's
okay,
really
I couldn't
funny
remember
because
what it was.
I have a note that says, I feel like I'm not supposed to like Walter, and all I know is he has allergies. So I guess that affected other people differently. Like, this bastard sneezed all over the food. I hate him.
I liked him a lot. I was just thinking, I would imagine being at a dinner and someone sneezing on all the food.
Yeah.
I
We'll
think
get
like a
into it,
post-COVID that's like,
It is post-COVID. That's
you know,
the
it's a
problem.
post-COVID
Yeah, that's
thing.
true. Or anytime people are in a crowd, I'm like, oh no, wearing their mask.
Yeah.
Well, one of my favorite things that the movie does is that, and we'll get into it more when we actually start, but I think Walter and Victoria are both perfectly fine people, and the problems that the main characters have with them are petty. And I think that's like a really smart thing that it does. Because both of the main characters are super weird.
Well,
Yes.
to that end, I didn't want them to...
Substantially weirder than
I
their partners.
a small cynical part that wanted a different type of movie didn't want them to meet up at the end, you know, and just the moral to be like, yeah, you just needed to separate, and like, no, you don't get to be with this random person you were obsessed with. Like, I don't know, you missed the moment.
Soulmates.
Soulmates, yes.
I don't even know if they're soulmates. I don't think the movie necessarily makes that argument. I think
The
it's
little
just like,
the little kid said that they were soulmates.
yeah, the little kid's an idiot. He's the worst.
Yeah.
No, the friend.
You think?
we gotta
Oh,
say
man,
this is
I
good
was gonna
shit.
say this is really
Gabby
good.
Hoffman. I forget what the character's name is.
Is it
but
Jessica?
Jessica.
Yeah, Jessica.
Yeah.
She's cool.
Jessica
her.
said that they were
She was
meant
a-
to be in another life and they didn't get together, right?
Well, okay, let's start the podcast.
Oh, let's get into this.
Wake up.
Oh no.
Sheeple.
Oh,
wait,
God.
no. Go to sleep. They're already awake because they're sleepless.
Damn it.
So
Wake up.
crank that 5-hour energy because there's no sleep till Seattle. I don't know. I don't
Can
know
we get a
this.
new card?
Shit. As you guys know, I don't really know how to start the podcast yet, so it'll either be that or something like "Welcome to Late to the Movies." My name's Ben Holt, and this is a podcast where my friends and I get to fill in our movie blind spots. Every week, we'll pick a movie that either I or a guest hasn't seen before, but really should have by now. This week, the movie is Sleepless in Seattle. We're keeping Romcom month going all February long. And this will be the second one. We started with Something's Gotta Give. I will say we transitioned nicely into the month with Groundhog Day, but that technically came out in January, so it doesn't count for Romcom month. Sorry. But we're keeping Romcom month going. We did Something's Gotta Give. Now we're doing Sleepless in Seattle. My guests this week, everyone's been on before. Let's go left to right. It's Greg.
Hey, how's it going?
It's good. Ray.
Hey.
Hey, and Robbie's here.
Hola.
I didn't mean to sound like disappointed there.
He is.
And Robbie.
Sorry. I
I
weaseled
weaseled my way into it. It's fine. He was like, Greg and Ray, let's record this. I was like, I want to join. He's like, fine. So I get it.
Fine.
That is the tone. It's not me like desperately being like, I really hope my friends don't realize I'm not paying them to do this.
You guys aren't getting paid?
I told you not to tell them. Anyway, so this week's Sleepless in Seattle. Before we start talking about this movie, I should mention none of us have seen this before, right?
Yeah.
No.
Before we talk about the movie, let's talk about what you guys have watched recently. You all haven't been on since the Encanto episode.
Not much, honestly. We rewatched Spirited Away.
Oh, yeah.
We did. Yes.
How many times?
Quite a few.
Like 5.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot. Had a good time with that, obviously. Great movie.
Yeah.
And I think that's basically it. Haven't watched too
Been real
much.
slow on it. Yeah.
Been a little slow.
It's the calm before the storm of the Oscars. So.
Yep.
Yes, it is.
I might rewatch The Witcher soon because I'm reading the books.
Nice.
But honestly, I think we'll put off watching a lot of movies because we like to watch all those like Oscar noms like right beforehand. So at this point, it's like, oh, we'll just relax before we get into all those.
Yeah, for sure. Have you watched anything fun recently?
Just that YouTube video you sent me and
Yeah.
a bunch of rabbit hole YouTube videos. So
I think, that leads to a lot of rabbit holes. Probably different ones for us, though, because we're talking about this recent feature-length, barely even a documentary, because it's just a guy talking directly into the camera, but it's over 2 hours long, called Line Goes Up by Folding Ideas, I want to say. Is the YouTube
Dan
channel.
Olson. He used
Dan
to
Olson,
be a crack correspondent, too.
Yeah. He's a good Twitter follow also. And it's really good, and it's spurred a lot of debate in the couple weeks since it came out. And the rabbit holes I've gone down is watching his videos about like editing in the Suicide Squad.
Oh, interesting.
So your rabbit holes are probably different.
Oh, mine are crypto related. So
Yeah.
I went into like zero knowledge proofs and stuff like that, where it's I wanted to back up my point that I think there are uses for crypto. But I'm glad that he made me think, and he makes me want to prove my point, because that's a very valuable and a necessary thing to do.
Yeah, for sure. He's nothing if not thorough. He has a 3-part series on the 50 Shades of Grey movies.
Maybe too thorough.
I learned a lot.
You really shouldn't.
I'll pass on that.
To piggyback on what you said before, Ray, the Oscar nominations are already out if you're listening to this. Unfortunately, you're listening to this in the future from when we are recording it, when they're not out yet, so we don't have a ton to talk about in that regard. But I'm really excited. They're coming out in a few days as we're recording this, Tuesday morning, the 8th of February. Usually super early in the morning, especially for people in LA. So I'm looking forward to that. And I don't know, you guys, I know you haven't necessarily watched a lot, and you can get on this too, but if there's anything you've watched this year or any kind of rooting interest you have or something you're hoping happens or doesn't happen for nominees.
Hoping they nominate Arrival again, because I missed it the first time. So.
That'd be cool. Well, Denis Villeneuve will be in there for sure.
Haha, you definitely do. Sorry.
I don't know what I'm hoping for. Yeah, not sure. Nothing in particular. I
We
don't
haven't
think.
really seen a lot of movies this year
Yeah.
just because we haven't been going to the theater, So
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, most of the movies we've seen are older movies, so I don't have anything like lined up that I'm like, oh, I really hope this gets a nominate.
Yeah. My favorite movie of the year is on Netflix, Power of the Dog. So you can check that out. Probably not with I don't think your daughter would like it too much.
You don't know her.
I'm excited
I'll
to
watch
see
it.
what the animated shorts are and what the documentaries are.
Yeah.
I know. I actually really like going for checking out the documentaries. Those are always interesting.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. How are we going to transition that into Sleepless in Seattle?
So I had a lot of trouble sleeping last night.
Would you say you were sleepless?
I had to call
Not
into
in
a radio show.
And if you were vaguely this far north but on the West Coast, you might say you're in Seattle.
Possibly.
I think are they a little further north? Whatever. It's similar. Who cares? The movie this week is Sleepless in Seattle. Any of us can take a crack at the 1 minute thing. I don't know if any of you feel particularly strongly that you'd like to do it.
I'll shoot for it. Why not? This was a bit of an odd one, but I can do it.
Cool. Yeah. Start whenever you're ready.
So, a unique opening for Romcom. We start at a funeral. Tom Hanks' wife is dead. He's can't deal with that, so he decides to move away. He doesn't like seeing everything that he did with his wife. Moves to Seattle. Year goes by. Can't get over it. His son calls into like a radio Dr. Phil kind of thing to complain that his dad needs a wife. Tom Hanks goes on the radio, tells his story. All these women start sending him letters, and Meg Ryan falls in love with him by hearing him on the radio.
About 30 seconds.
We follow him and Meg Ryan, like just their lives for the whole movie with them not meeting, which just blew my mind, until eventually he responds to a letter she wrote, mostly because his son made him. And they meet on top of the Empire State Building on Valentine's Day, and they finally meet each other, and they turn out to be soulmates.
Maybe.
Maybe. We don't get to see that part.
No, they go down the elevator, and that's the end of the movie. Good timing. You did basically right on the dot.
I think the son wrote the letter.
Yeah, he didn't write the letter.
Pretty sure the son wrote the letter.
Yeah, the son wrote the letter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry if I wasn't clear. Yeah.
Just because it was a pretty.
Yeah, no, the son definitely did, because they make jokes about it. Like, oh, well, he's not good at writing.
It's like, it definitely wasn't. Tom
Yeah,
Hanks.
you know.
And he, like,
Somehow.
what is he writes some kind of acronym that's very clearly made by that girl. Something like
Made,
that.
made for each other.
Yeah.
made for each other. Yeah.
MFEO?
Yeah.
MFEO.
MFEO.
Instead of, you sound neat or something.
You sound
neat. Oh man, so
That's
the
what
main,
every woman loves to hear. You
Yeah.
sound neat.
so the main components that I
It's not too bad.
Like-
Could be worse.
stood
be
out to
worse.
this for me was the writing is incredible. Not the child's letter writing, but the movie, the script writing.
The script was really good for a rom-com.
The chemistry between the two characters who don't meet until the last scene. And
Well, even the little glimpses of chemistry in between
Right,
were
no,
very
I'm
good
not-
too.
yeah,
Like even the airport,
Yeah.
like
so right off the bat, some people probably just want to know. This is a first time watch for all of us. What did you guys think of the movie? Just in,
So I really enjoyed it. I think the thing I liked most about it was it felt very unique to me for a rom-com. I feel like normally in a rom-com, you can kind of guess most of what's going to happen. And I should have known, because I actually knew the meet on top of the Empire State Building thing, but I didn't realize it was this movie until the letter comes in. So the whole time I'm like, oh, when are they going to meet? You know what I mean? I'm not realizing that they're not going to meet until the last 4 minutes of this movie.
yep.
You know what I mean? So like that kind of threw me for a loop. So it's nice to like watch a rom-com and not know exactly what's going to happen, you know?
Yeah, I thought it was. I really liked it overall, but it was not at all what I was expecting. You know, opening with a funeral, I was like, oh my God, what's going on?
Yeah.
go.
I feel like this was a lot more rom than com, I guess. You know?
I think it's very funny.
It was very funny, yeah, but it was, I don't know, there's a lot of very serious parts.
Sure, yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
More rom than com.
Mm.
In a good
Yeah.
way. Like, I don't know. I feel like,
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of dealing with grief, right? So
yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like nowadays, or like in my lifetime of seeing rom-coms, they're very much like your actors that the main actor is usually like some kind of comedy guy. You know what I mean? Or it's all
Are you calling Ryan Reynolds some kind of comedy guy?
I am. I'm calling Ryan Reynolds some kind of comedy guy. You know what I mean? And it's like constantly just joke after joke after joke, them trying to like land something. And in this one, like there was a lot of comedy and it was all good, honestly. But there was a lot of like plot in there. You know what I mean? They're telling a story the whole time. And
It
there
wasn't
was
like super heavy-handed comedy, you know?
yeah.
Yeah, I think, with the two characters separate the whole movie, they basically each have to have their own rom-com movie in its entirety
Yeah.
before they meet at the end. What'd you think?
I really liked it. I loved how I don't know what the word for it is, but just how beautifully unrealistic it is. You know, like like the idealistic like soulmates, and they have like special connection. Like I'm a sucker for that kind
More
of shit.
rom than com.
Fair,
right?
Yeah,
fair,
yeah. Guys, I loved this movie. This movie was really awesome. Like you said, that's kind of heightened-ish reality sort of thing where there's just like, it's just a few degrees weirder than I thought it was going to be. The perfect example for me is Gabby Hoffman, who plays the little girl that's the friend of the little boy in the movie, Tom Hanks' son. Her parents are travel agents. So they're only in one scene, but just like the kind of heightened reality that goes with like just the whip smart writing is the kid has left on a plane by himself. Tom Hanks and the girl's parents are kind of grilling her on where they went, and she just says the flight number, and Tom Hanks goes, "When does that leave?" And the parents just know right off the top of their head, and that's a 7:30 flight.
They immediately both go 7:30.
It's 7:30.
We
So
got
I
a
just
good laugh
love,
on that.
the idea that they know.
That was so
And
funny,
the
too.
travel
Yeah.
agents.
And to be fair, if that's the flight number for the Seattle to New York and their Seattle travel agents, maybe they would know, but it's just so funny.
It is.
What got me
So
right
funny.
before that was when she was typing in the information for the ticket, and he was like, "Can we just type that in?" She's like, "If it's in the computer, adults will believe anything." I was
Yeah.
like, bam, that
Yeah.
was
Yep.
like just top notch
100%.
gold. Like it's so 1993. They were already making jokes about that on their like mainframe
Yep.
screen with the green boxes.
That scene really got me because, like, right before that, her mom was like, "Oh, I'm going to run an errand. Can you watch the front?" I'm like, "You're asking an 8-year-old to run your business while you are gone?" I'm like, "This is definitely early 90s."
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm
Just
just
all
gonna book
latchkey
your
kids.
ticket. What the hell is this? Not like adults at that time could not have booked a ticket online.
Yeah. She's like, I'll put it in. Yeah. Just she puts in that, don't ask him why he's so short. He's
Sensitive about height, yeah. Me and Ray kept getting a good laugh. We kept saying things like, "Oh, spoiler alert, poor Jessica does not inherit the family business."
And then, not that the weirdness and kind of like just weirdly funny lines are just with her. But the line where he goes like, "What does it even cost to go to New York?" and she says, "No one knows." It's like
It changes. It
almost
changes
every
every day.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
love that. It's
just
such
like, why is that so
perfect
fucking-
answer?
Yeah, it's a perfect answer. It's so funny.
It's because it's being delivered by this little girl. That's why it's so funny. You know what I mean?
It just makes me think too, like an adult would give you like an approximation. They would say like, oh, it's like $120. But that's not true. Like her answer is way more accurate and way better.
Yes, and she's 8, and that's why I was like, "Oh, this is so funny!"
So
Like,
good.
yeah.
Yep. So
I honestly like the kids a lot,
Yeah.
both of them.
I loved
Jonah
both
was
of
like
them.
wicked
See, like,
funny.
did you not like Jonah? Because I think we need to
oh
talk
no,
about
no, no. I think I like what he's doing, but he's sort of a nightmare. But
Oh, as
Oh,
like
yeah.
a child.
I mean,
As
I
a
guess
child.
like
He's horrible.
yeah.
Jonah is a dick.
I
Man,
mean, like
I don't know if he has a reason to be or
Yeah.
anything either. You know, like
from Sam's perspective. Tom Hanks' character's named Sam. Right?
Sam Baldwin.
Yeah, from Sam's perspective, your kid's done this horribly embarrassing thing, like putting you on national radio because he wants you to start dating again. And you do. And the first person you start dating again, who is perfectly nice, just has a kind of cloying laugh, he goes like full psycho about.
Yep.
So I
Yeah.
feel bad for Sam.
Poor Jonah's dealing with a lot of grief.
Yeah, I know he is, but he's just like, not her.
Yeah. What the fuck, Dad?
Come on.
The other lady from the letter.
I mean, I know there was no real reason not to like Victoria, but I almost got the impression like it seemed like she was just I don't know. I guess she wasn't trying too hard, but it just seemed like she was. But she definitely wasn't. I don't think she like even
So I didn't love her. I got like an impression almost like she was one of the girls who heard him on the radio and is like has this idealistic like fantasy version of him. So she's like almost like obsessed with him. Not that Meg
I don't
Ryan's
think that's
character.
the case, though.
I don't think so either, but that's what I felt like at first when she was first on the date with him. But by the end, I was like, oh, that's not the case. This is just how she is.
I guess like in what highlighted it for me was when she does meet I'm gonna say Meg Ryan. I forgot her name.
Annie.
Annie.
Yeah.
When like she meets Jonah in the end, and it's just like talking about the bear and like through the bear, and it's like, oh, this woman knows how to talk to kids, and the other person felt like a kid. I think is like she didn't seem like she could handle being a mom. Honestly, like I don't know.
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean. It's a really, I don't even know if it's subtle, but it's really smartly done. How you just get the impression that Victoria is just not naturally comfortable with kids,
Right.
and Annie just like is.
Exactly.
And even though they
have the same amount of experience with kids,
Right, yeah.
presumably.
and it's just like a couple lines, you get like, oh, she's comfortable with kids. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's just really efficiently done. So this is where we should mention this is written and directed by Nora Ephron, who, along with Nancy Myers, who wrote and directed last week's movie, are considered like the queens of rom-coms. And Nora Ephron unfortunately passed away in 2012, I want to say. But this is her second movie that she wrote and directed, and kind of the big one, really. What a cool movie.
I'd say I think funnier and deeper than the one we watched last week. As good as it gets, honestly. I mean, I know they're on the
Yeah.
same page, but this one was way better.
Something's got to give. As
Something's
good as it
gotta give,
gets,
sorry.
it's different.
Yeah, another Jack Nicholson.
So not intentionally, but I wanted to talk this month a lot about, rom-coms. Where did they go? What structurally is appealing about them? What are kind of the points that every rom-com hits? And we just happen to start with two of the weirdest rom-coms ever made. So yeah, I loved this movie though. The writing just was what really stood out to me, as well as Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan's performances. But I just
Tom
think
Hanks.
it's just so
Who
smart.
doesn't
But
love Tom?
I think this is the youngest I've ever seen Tom Hanks. I might be wrong on that.
Big,
But
have you seen Big?
Big, I
I
was
haven't
going to
seen
say.
Big.
Big's a few years before. So.
Okay.
Oh, Big's
Yeah.
another one, another podcast.
In Big,
Uh,
he's like 8.
Now that we're starting to do theme months, what can
I know the basic plot of that movie. And you're right.
Yeah. I was thinking a lot about watching this. Is Tom Hanks like the signature American celebrity of the last 50 years? Because I feel like kinda.
Hmm.
This is maybe the hottest he ever is, even with that. Looks, sure, but I more meant like career-wise.
I feel like everybody loves Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
That's what I mean, yeah.
He
he's
just had
also
a very
like,
solid career.
Yeah.
I feel like it's hard to have a really solid career and be one of those celebrities where nobody's like, well, you did all this shitty stuff, or like, what about all these fucking news stories about you?
Everybody loves Tom Hanks.
But everybody loves Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the last time he hosted at SNL, it was the joke is that like he's America's dad.
I feel like
I could see
Robin Williams could have given him a run for his money.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like that definitely would have been the competition there.
Speaking of him being America's dad, all the scenes of him being a dad in this are wicked good.
So good.
They
Yep.
are. Yep.
They're always wicked funny.
Yeah,
And I don't know. I feel like he does a really good job. Like,
No, you get
developing-
out here. If I'm dealing with this, you're dealing with this too.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
always wicked funny.
They have like really good lines of communication, and I don't know. I don't want to just be like, you can tell it was written by a woman, but like it is a very different vibe from a lot of those
Oh, he's a good
relationships that you see in
father.
other movies.
Yeah, he's
And
a very
most
good
movies
father.
aren't written and directed by women. It's
Yeah.
just true.
Yep. I feel like it helps develop his character too, because like I feel like, and it makes things make a little more sense because I feel like all the women like pining over him on the radio is because like part of it is he's like this good dad, and
Yeah.
like they like you said that thing about like how you not pissed at your kid for like going on it, and well he did it for his kid, you know what I mean? He like, oh, this make the fucking kid happy if I go on the radio show and things like that.
Yeah, the way he kind of rolls with it is really cool.
Yeah.
Right at the end too, when he grabs him and he's like, "Did I mess things up?" Like this, but like
Yeah.
just that reaction instead of like I don't
It's
know.
not
it's
your
just-
fault. It's
Yeah, he's
it's
not
his
mad
fault.
at him. He's like,
it
what
was
did I
just,
do?
Yeah, like,
that
I
was
screwed
really
up.
powerful. Did I really? And it's like, no, I'm just trying to help you, Dad. It's like, oh man, you guys are beautiful.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, like it is like we said, kind of I guess surprising to some of us. At the core of it is it's this dad and this like 8-year-old kid who he just lost his mom. So as much as it is about the relationship that eventually happens between Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan, there's also that going on that's
Yeah.
present the whole movie. So yeah, it's a cool vibe. And
Yeah,
Tom
very
Hanks-
interesting, very unique for a rom-com, which I feel like that's important because I feel like that's where a lot of rom-coms fall flat is like, you're like, okay, well, I've seen 10 movies like this, and you can kind of enjoy it because you know what you're getting into nowadays. If I went to go see a rom-com tomorrow in a theater, I'd go in knowing like, okay, this is going to be like these 7 other
Yeah.
movies.
Yeah.
If you can find a rom-com in a theater anymore, but we'll talk more about that
Yeah.
later.
I guess that's true. I haven't seen
I was
it in a long
curious,
time.
when was the last one you can think of that came out?
I mean, a lot on streaming. Maybe not even a lot, but streaming, I guess, is where more of them go these days.
What year did The Proposal come out?
That's old.
It's like
2008.
2012. Oh,
Oh, that's really
I was
long.
going to say
Probably
way
wrong.
earlier than 2012.
yeah.
I feel like that's the last rom-com like I remember seeing in theaters.
2009.
Yeah.
We were still in high school.
I mean, I think there was also some really bad ones that came out after that, but like that was a good one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wasn't there one with Gerald Butler?
Oh,
feel like that
He
was
was in a few.
Around the same time he was doing them.
Ugly Truth was one of
The
the
Ugly
ones he was
Truth.
in.
That was
Yeah.
one, yeah.
That's not the one I'm thinking of.
But I think that was around that same time as the
300.
proposal too.
Yeah.
Mm.
300, yep.
300.
Rom-com. Well, Deadpool.
Deadpool.
Sure.
It's Valentine's.
So we can yeah, we'll talk about rom-coms in a bigger sense later. So Tom Hanks is just amazing in this movie. Like I said, this is maybe the hottest he is in his career. And again, I'm talking about work-wise, not necessarily looks, but people in the 90s had just so much hair.
A lot of hair.
Yeah.
There's a lot of hair.
Just
Yeah.
a lot of hair. Like even all the men had like, when did hair stop being bushy? You don't see guys with bushy hair anymore.
We don't get perms anymore.
Well, yeah.
You know,
Not,
it's so
not for
funny.
a while for me.
Because I was watching this movie and this is like 1993, right? So like I feel like 1993, you know, I was like 2 years old. So like I have a lot of vague like fever dream kind of memories of that time period. So every time I watch movies from this time, I'm like, oh wow, I kind of like remember the feel of like what's going on here.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I think my mom had that car. Like my dad's hair kind of looked like that at some point.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
Mhm.
There was one point where Tom Hanks is in like his study, I think, and it's in the dark, and his shirt was like weirdly shiny. So me and my sister were watching and going like, "Is he wearing like a silk shirt?"
Probably.
And they're like, "Maybe not. Maybe it's just the way the lights get." No, I think it's a silk shirt, and that's just not what you picture Tom Hanks in these days. I would say.
No, no.
But yeah, the 90s vibes were good. Meg Ryan just has
nostalgia.
like
All the
just
cars.
huge fucking ropes of hair just tied
Yes.
around.
Yeah.
It's-
Yeah, my mom had hair like that at some point.
Yeah.
A specific hole in the ozone layer just for all those hairstyles.
I know, right? Yeah. Let's talk about Meg Ryan a little bit. I don't know how us being born, like you said, within a couple years before this movie came out. Meg Ryan is, I guess, when Harry Met Sally is a few years before this, and then she's a huge star. Obviously, this comes out and that continues. But she has kind of slowed down, especially if you want to compare her to Tom Hanks, which I don't think anyone comes out fairly in a comparison to Tom Hanks's career. But she's definitely not been in as much movies since the 2000s started, since the early thousands probably. So yeah, I don't know. But she's awesome in this movie.
Yeah, her performance was great. I really liked her crying in her car when she's listening to the radio.
Yeah.
And like she's just driving along and all of a sudden she's just like getting like super emotional, like listening to this guy on the radio. Cause I don't know, it was just an interesting scene too, because she's not in the scene with anybody. So it's like
No.
she does like a really good job like conveying everything while she's literally just sitting in a car. She's probably not actually even fucking driving. She's just sitting there.
I love that too, because I love the feeling, like I think a lot of people have had it, where you're listening to something and you have those same reactions that the person has, where you're like, no, you stupid. And like the person says the same thing. Yeah. And like you can really relate
Yes,
to
yeah.
that feeling of like connecting with what's going on. So
It's just podcasts
good.
now. I hope people have that reaction listening to this, because like you feel engaged, right? And that's, I think, not even necessarily podcasts, but that's how I feel it most of the time these days. But talk radio back in the day, or even just listening to a song, driving by yourself at night and just like getting really into something.
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
it's such a, I don't know. I just
The
love
other-
that vibe.
I know we're talking about Meg Ryan, but that scene in particular, I feel like was important because I feel like this movie does a good job, and I mean it has to, of showing you that like these two people are supposed to be together without them ever interacting. Because it's her like
Yeah.
giving the response he's about to give on the radio right before him.
right.
And they do this like a couple different times where they
Yep.
like have one of them do something to show you that they're supposed to be together.
Yes.
It's such a high wire act, and I don't even know how you would get your mind around writing that scene and a few other ones, but especially the radio call scene. It's so perfect and so hard to pull off that you understand what her emotional investment in it, even though she's 3,000 miles away in a car by herself, just listening to it. And like you said, they do it a few different times, but just the kind of interplay between cutting back and forth. It's just really cool.
I really liked when they have her up at like I think she's up at night and she's like getting a snack. She's peeling the apple.
Yeah.
And they like come back to it because I remember watching her peel the apple and I'm like, well, this is fucking weird because she like peels the whole thing in like one go in one long string.
yes.
And then later on, he's telling his kid about his wife, and he's like, "Oh, she used to peel the apples in one whole string. Like if no one has ever done this." I'm like, "Oh, of course."
What's really weird to me is I also just watched on Netflix The Lost Daughter, which is Maggie Gyllenhaal's debut directorial debut, starring Olivia Colman. She might win another Best Actress for it. Anyway, there's a recurring motif about someone peeling fruit all in one go in that too. So it's just like really weird to see. Not a thing I've ever seen be a plot point in a movie before in like 2 of 3 movies that I watched this week.
And there it is. Yep.
Somebody just found out other people do it, and they're like, "Oh my god, we got to make this a plot point."
Yeah. So it's very so it's just weird to point out.
Yeah, that's not something I would have guessed. I know, like I said, most of this movie, it did like kind of catch me by surprise. The one thing I did predict in the beginning,
Yep.
Tom Hanks is talking to, I think, like family or friends, and he's saying like how he's never going to get over his wife. And he says something like, you don't find a love like that twice. It's not going to happen again. And I was immediately suspicious. I was like, he's like, it doesn't happen twice. And I was like, I think it's going
it's
to.
gonna happen
I think it's going to happen twice.
I'd bet about an hour and a half it's going to happen again.
Yeah. And just as long as we're kind of talking about the structure, the sort of recurring map of the United States that they showed in a few different parts,
constantly.
which you're like, where is this happening? Is this a thing? And then it's just this sort of representational tool that it uses that is really cool. I loved it. It feels really...
Are you talking about like the map that they put on the screen
Yeah.
or Tom Hanks's map.
I was
The map
talking about
they put on
Tom
the screen.
Hanks's map.
Yeah.
I like that he had a map too to be like, look how far away this lady
He
is.
brings that map out like 3 times. I literally was like, this guy's getting his fucking money worth out of this map.
I saw it on the wall. I'm like, who has a map on their wall like that? When would you ever use
Greg
that?
said
And he
the same
proceeds to
thing.
just constantly use it.
I-
It almost felt like a third wall joke between like the map screens and then like, do you know where she is? Right here. You're like,
Yeah, he keeps pulling it down.
That's how
yelling at
far
his
away
kid.
Baltimore is. You know
Greg
where
said that
Tulsa
he
is?
was like, "Who has a map like this?" I'm like, "He needs one. Look, he's gonna explain to the stupid kid like where all the states
He's
are."
parenting. It's a teaching moment every time a letter comes in.
Yeah. This kid is going to be fucking good at geography.
I mean, where's Oklahoma? Somewhere in the middle. Spot on. There's no other way to describe where Oklahoma is.
But yeah, he got his fucking money out of that.
He did. That map's great, but the kind of recurring map
Yes.
that they use at the
to show like the
beginning,
flights and stuff.
very old school, very classic Hollywood vibe. Not just in the all of the music being very on the nose and very kind of like loungy, big band sounding. A lot of like standards and there, but then also the opening with it just on the map and the full credit roll coming just over a static map. Very old Hollywood. I just love the whole thing. The vibe was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
It was cool. So that's structurally what we're talking about. I don't know. You guys have any points you want to make? I have a good one, but it's juicy. So if we want to do anything else,
Oh, let's save it. Let's save it. So, something I definitely wanted to talk about. Like I've said a couple times, I thought it was more rom than com, but the comedy in this movie is just so good.
it's really good.
I feel like it all lands for me.
All the best friend characters are some of the funniest
I was
screen
gonna say.
actors of the last several decades.
Her best friend talking about how the dead tree ruined her marriage and not about the fact that she had sex with the tree removal guy.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't that killed, it was the dead tree that killed the marriage. Like
Yeah.
I'm
A dead tree killed your marriage? Well, it was the tree guy.
Yeah, well, the tree removal. I had an affair with the tree removal guy.
I love the haven't you seen Fatal Attractions? No, I wouldn't let you watch it. Well, I saw it.
It's like every man in America was terrified.
It's so good. Like just
Yeah.
especially like, no, you wouldn't let me watch it.
Yeah,
else I-
the interplay is so good.
Was funny and it was like quick too. They didn't even give you a lot of time to enjoy it. Is when she's doing the little like background check on him, looking up all the Sam Baldwins, and 4 of them come up in like the Chicago area, and it tells you like a little blur about it, and it's like convicted felon, like world record javelin holder, architect. And she's like, architect.
Did you
probably
notice when she goes a little deeper though, like what he's attributed for is he built City Hall. He's like a multi-million-dollar architect. Like
Well,
he's
that's
like
why-
a
that's why he's got a
top-tier.
water house.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, that's
His house is like a fucking boat.
well, so before that, I was like, how the hell does it like like he has a marina that he lives in basically,
Yeah.
but he built City Hall, so that checks out.
Yeah, it checks out. So I was saying, like, can you just like live there? Because it's not a houseboat; it's just a water house. And
Built it up on the water.
she's like, "Yeah, no, you can live there. It's a little outside the city, but that's the thing people do in Seattle." I was like, "I didn't see those houses when I was there."
They also made some joke about his like that old widowed client of his that they're sick of moving like all the things. And I forget his friends say something like, well, you're looking for a wife. We don't want to have to redo these cabinets again. Move her into your house.
Yeah.
That was great. Did you notice that's Jess's dad from New Girl?
Jess's dad from New Girl. That's Rob Reiner, director of When Harry Met Sally and The Princess Bride. But yeah, it's also Jess's dad from New Girl.
I'm cultured, okay?
It's fine.
He's always the one who hasn't seen the movie. What do you expect?
Oh, that's good to know. You haven't seen Princess Bride?
No, I have. I love it. Yeah, I'm sorry, man.
Well, take it off the list.
Don't. I want it on the list though.
That's
That's
okay.
I haven't seen Princess
I'm just talking
Bride.
about yeah.
You
so-
haven't seen Princess Bride?
No.
Which one is that?
Oh, come on. Rob Reiner directed it.
With the As You Wish.
Carrie Elways.
Oh, yes. Sorry.
Robin Wright is a lady in it.
Andre the Giant.
I
What's
know.
the-
I know what it is.
So Columbo is Fred Savage's grandfather.
Can I know like not these parts? Like just what
So, and I'm telling you, and the kid's home from 6, so the granddad comes in and reads him a story, and it's like a romance, and then the movie is the actual like period kind of drama, but it's funny. Andre the Giant's in it, and Wallace Shawn, and they have like a battle of wits. There's
wa-
a large rat.
Okay.
Rodents
Nope.
of unusual
Inigo
size.
Montoya, you killed my father,
I
prepare
know-
to die.
I know that. Okay, that's from this movie.
It's that movie. It's my
Haven't
favorite
seen it.
movie of all time.
It's a good movie.
Mm.
Yeah. So yeah, I was just fucking with you. So like I was saying, all the best friend characters are all some of the most important actors or creative people over the last few decades. Her best friend's played by Rosie O'Donnell. His best friend is Victor Garber, and for a very short amount of time in the movie, he also has a best friend played by Rob Reiner. They go to a fun,
Just like one fish shack together.
yeah. They go to eat together, and that's a fun scene too.
That's a good one.
It's just, dude, they're all so good. The scene with, I guess, a couple times where Rosie O'Donnell and Meg Ryan are watching Affair to Remember, which also is kind of the basic structure that this movie's built around. All the Affair to Remember jokes are very funny in it. And then just going like, oh God, men just don't get this movie at all. And then later on in the movie, when you see the two kids and they're talking, and she's watching it and like
Yeah.
crying, and he's just like, I don't get this at all.
Just playing Game Boy.
It's just a perfectly set up joke that comes back later. But yeah, them like,
I
Anyway.
love when they're crying watching that movie. It's
Yes.
so funny.
and like mouthing the words
yeah, they're mouthing all the
together.
words.
My sister said it's just like, that is just a friend relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just like how it is with friends. And you just don't see that in movies.
I really liked in the beginning when he made like the Lou Gehrig joke and had to explain it. I don't know if you were supposed to catch it, but one of the relatives was talking to the other one, and he just legitimately says baseball, baseball, historical reference, and
Yeah.
the conversation just moves on.
So funny.
And I couldn't tell like what kind of joke that was supposed to be, or if I was even supposed to catch it, but I just
Oh, yeah.
died.
That whole scene. I
that
feel
whole
like
scene
we have
with all the
so
weird
good.
relatives.
we have to talk about that.
Harold is allergic
First
to
of all,
bees.
Yeah.
I don't know how far we in here. We have not even talked about Walter once.
Poor Walter.
We have not even mentioned poor Walter.
And neither will Meg Ryan's character for the rest of her
Walter's
life.
fine.
Yeah.
She probably won't even tell her parents that she broke up with her fiance.
Especially
but
too, like just the
justice
fact.
for Walter.
Yeah,
I'm
just the
like,
fact
justice
that
for Walter.
going
Walter's a
into
nice
it,
guy.
knowing it was a rom-com, we see Annie, Meg Ryan, and Walter show up to meet Annie's family,
Yeah.
and she's going over all the details, and I was like, Walter's gonna fuck this up. Walter's gonna be a fucking dick. Walter's gonna be a bad guy. And you go in, and Walter's a nice guy. He's great. He is allergic to everything. He sneezes all on the food, which creeped me out, COVID style and everything, like sneezing on all the food. Didn't like that, but he was just a good guy, and the dinner goes well. Annie's family's really fucking weird and like doing all these typical like worst things you want to see at a dinner.
Super pumped about the allergies. Like they were like all getting into it. Like, oh, but he's allergic to like if this happens, then
Yeah. That whole scene, I'm like, what the fuck is happening?
guys are
This is so,
bonding?
yeah, like this is so weird.
Bonding over a bee.
And like Walter does such a good job, and then as soon as that happened, I was like, well, Walter has to go somehow because he's like a good guy. And then they start driving separate cars, and they make a point about Walter like leaving first, and it's like raining, and that's when she's listening to the radio. And I didn't realize she was gonna like hear Tom Hanks call in. I was expecting Walter to fucking die in a car crash
oh my god.
at this part because I was
Oh,
like,
man.
they gotta get rid of Walter. And I
There's
was like,
this movie started with a funeral. Surely there's just going to be a death every few minutes.
Then we'd definitely be in the ROM side. There'd be no calm.
yeah, well, because I didn't expect it to be like Walter's a great guy,
commitments all of a
and
sudden.
Annie's just gonna be like, peace, see ya, Walter. You're great, but
I am glad that's coming up because I don't think I've ever in my life seen that in any kind of romance or rom-com type movie where the guy you're not supposed to like isn't like a piece of shit. Like
Yeah. That's also like, yeah, it's
Ever.
always like, oh, your jerk boyfriend that like
Yeah.
you keep giving a chance to, but no, this is just a nice guy.
well, and that's why I put the note down. Like, I feel like I'm not supposed to like him, and all I know is he has allergies. And like, even after like the nebulizer, I'm like, he's a little nerdy, quotes, I guess. Like, I don't know, whatever you're supposed to
Yeah.
feel about
he's
him.
like,
but,
thoughtful and nice, and like
Yeah,
he's a good
she,
guy.
She like elbows him right in the face, right? Or like
Yeah.
punches him right in the face.
yeah,
no
Right.
angry reaction whatsoever. Just
Nope.
like, oh.
They
No.
talk about how they're really compatible. Like they do all the same things. Like
Yeah.
She's like in routine to help him take care of all of his ailments before he goes to
they
bed.
both
Yeah.
got the same sandwich, which was just tomato and lettuce.
That is
That was
messed up.
That's
super
messed
funny. Super funny that's the sandwich that they picked.
Yeah.
That's when she was given the example and she was like, well, what two people order just lettuce and tomato? And like for a second, it took me because I was like, oh, everybody gets BLTs. I was like, wait, no.
Just lettuce and
Nobody
tomato.
gets
Just lettuce and
that.
Nobody gets LTs.
Oh, yeah. BLT on the B. Worst part.
She
Yeah.
should be thankful that she found somebody that would accept her.
She
for that
should be,
sandwich.
and that's I think the point the movie makes. So it's played by Bill Pullman, who is always like a really charismatic actor. He's the star of another big rom-com, While You Were Sleeping, just 2 hours later. He had a good 95. He's also in Casper that year, and this is only a few years before he's in Independence Day and gives like one of the greatest movie speeches ever.
Yeah.
He's like a really charismatic guy usually, and in this movie, it's just like. I love that it's not that there's anything wrong with him. He's just kind of boring.
He's just kind of there. That's where I was
He's
trying.
just a
He's
total
kind
drip.
of
She's just
boring.
like, it's really predictable. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I assume that's just kind of part of the point it's making.
yeah,
It's okay.
absolutely.
You don't have to. She can just
Sometimes
not
people
want to
just-
be with him.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
And he kind of breaks up with her, really, at the end there.
almost like I forget what he says. Something about
Well, he's a good guy. He doesn't make it difficult.
he does not make it difficult.
No.
He's just like, okay, I know what's happening.
Yeah, she says
It's
something like,
He
cool.
tells him like the
I
whole
don't-
story, and he goes, "Well, he could be there right now." Like that's his first
Yeah.
reaction to that whole
He's such a-
story.
it makes it like so much worse though, honestly, because he's so nice about it. And she's like, "I don't deserve you," and he's like, "That's not how I would put it," or something like that. Like, no, you're
He
like,
said, that's not
No,
how I would
she's
put it,
right,
but okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
Perfect.
yeah.
Also correct. She doesn't deserve him.
No.
She doesn't.
No, I think
Walter's
Walter
the
dodged a
best.
bullet. To be honest with you,
She
No.
is-
And like,
Annie's
she's gonna
nuts.
I
She's
guess, move
crazy.
to
Oh.
Seattle.
So that's
So they're never gonna see each other.
my juicy note was if you gender swap this movie, it's a horror movie.
Yes.
yeah.
That's my juicy note.
Oh.
Except it's not gender swap. It's just if this movie came out today, it's a horror movie.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
either way, I get, but like stalking him
She
online,
stalks the shit out of him,
she
showing up at
stalks
his
him
house.
really
So I thought that when she was forming a parasocial relationship with him, which the term that wasn't necessarily in the zeitgeist then, but is obviously something that Nora Ephron's driving at. You see a lot of really weird interactions, especially I'm on Twitter too much, so people form parasocial relationships with people they've never met and then get
Mhm.
really offended and try and like go to bat for them, or they get really disappointed when they do something, and it's just like, this is a stranger. You don't actually know this person. So yeah, it's a pretty easy. And then I was like, maybe we shouldn't even talk about this. Maybe we should write this, and it would be like around the structure of a rom-com, but it's a horror movie. And this lady uses her position as a reporter to lie her way into getting a background check about this guy.
Mm.
And then that was the point where it's like, oh, there's a horror movie if it comes out today. And that was only cyber-stalking. Then this lady straight up like goes across the country to show up at this guy's house and watch him play with his child.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
not say anything to him.
And then when she like misses him first, but she sees him getting in the boat with his kid and like driving down like the little like river, she's following him in
Following
the
him
car.
down.
Like, whoa.
So-
she's just standing in the middle of the street staring.
I was
That-
even
yeah,
thinking you
horror
could
movie.
take the same exact movie
She's
and
left to
change
see
the
super cute in
score
this movie.
in the soundtrack and make it a horror movie as is. Like you just change
Yeah.
the background noise.
Yeah, it's not too difficult to do the thing where like you can cut a trailer of the Harry Potter movies that makes it look like a gay love story between Harry and Ron. You just like take
is.
you just like cut some lines together and put like a sweeping score underneath it. Same idea, right?
Yeah. I
Fair.
think if Meg Ryan wasn't hot, it would definitely be a horror
That's the
story.
thing.
Yep.
There you go.
Right?
It's because of
Yeah.
Meg Ryan that it's like you still think it's kind of weird, but you think it's like, oh, it's kind of in a
She's kinda
cuter way.
quirky.
Yeah, it kind of like that's
Yeah,
that's
But
what it
she's
is.
basically the girl from Fatal Attractions.
Yes, she is.
pretty much. Yeah,
And, like-
every man in America was horrified.
And she's like, I don't want Harold. He's too stable. It's like, oh, you want like a borderline relationship is what that sounds like. You're looking
Yeah.
for craziness.
Yeah, I dig that. That's why I think I love the movie so much. It's so weird, and it just shouldn't work, and it should
It
be
does.
just kind of creepy, but it does. It works.
It does work.
Yep, it just works. But yeah, no, this would be a horror movie today. It'd be a hacky horror movie. It wouldn't be a very good one, but it would be a horror movie.
I was really confused that when they do the recap on the radio of all their like people that have called in to Dr. whatever Fieldstone, Sam's segment about him and we did Sleepless in Seattle. His was like 4 minutes long. Everybody else got one sentence. And I really want to hear more about
Yeah, that was
Disappointed in
really
Denver.
Yeah. That was so funny.
Disappointed in Denver.
Do you remember hers? She was the one that every time she's going to orgasm, her husband has to go have a sandwich. And then you hear the radio
Have you
show.
considered making a sandwich beforehand? Or?
Why don't you make him a sandwich beforehand?
I did now that you say I remember that. That's fantastic. I like that Vicky looks like Umbridge when he first meets her in the bar. And the drink he orders is
A lot of
absolute
horizontal space to her hair, yeah.
in like the pink jackets, which really gave me a bad vibe. And then he orders absolute straight up like an absolute madman. Who drinks that?
I think because she has just like a cocktail, right? And the guy's going to get him one of that. And then she starts laughing and he goes, yeah, absolute straight up.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
that's
Is
what
that
it is.
was? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think it was also because the kid too, right? Because he just came back from the phone call.
I think he's also at dinner and he doesn't want to be at dinner. He drove that point home
Yeah.
like don't
Wanted
go
a
to
drink.
dinner. Just go for a drink. And then
Yeah, yet another great scene where he's talking to his 8-year-old son about like dating and stuff.
yes.
I love that rule is like just set in stone. Like, no, you invite them to drinks first. If it's
Yeah.
good, you go to dinner. Like, wow, that's
Yeah.
been going on since
And if,
'93.
if it's not, you're home by 9.
So I was like, wow, yeah, no, he's
What did he tell his kid? He's like, where did you hear about that? Oh, whoever has cable. Oh, whoever has cable.
that whole
That was
like,
so
reaction
funny.
was
Yeah.
just so great.
Yeah, because the son asked like if they were gonna have sex or
yeah,
something.
you're gonna
And
have
he's
sex.
like, "Where did you?"
Where'd you hear about this?
Yeah, and like instead of like actually having like a serious like sex conversation, he was just like, "Oh, he has cable." Yeah. He's like, "No, yeah, we probably will though."
yes.
found it.
It was so funny. All the scenes with his kid are great.
Yeah.
Honestly, though, I think the best one might have been when he's on the phone doing like the radio interview because it's kind of serious. And the kid is just sitting on the couch, but also holding the other phone up. And they're sitting like kind of a little bit spaced apart, but there's something about like their expressions and they're both just like kind of sitting together on this phone call. And I don't know, there's just something real nice about it.
Yeah, when they're like both on the couch together.
Yeah.
That's really good.
He's a good dad.
He's a good dad. Yeah. At the end of this movie, there was definitely a point where I'm like, what is happening? Because I've been expecting them to meet all movie. Eventually you hit a point where you're like, okay, they're not meeting until the very end of this movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
But you're like,
Yeah.
what is going to happen? Because I know they're going to meet on top of the Empire State Building at this point because I know I realize that's from this.
Yeah, I hadn't seen the movie before, but I had seen that scene.
You know what I mean?
It's a big
But
deal.
Tom Hanks' character is adamant that he is not going.
Yep.
Right? And it seems like Jonah's not going to convince him to go. And I'm like, I guess I could see how Annie's going to end up there, but I'm like, how is this going to? And then the kid's like buying a plane ticket through this girl. I'm like, wait, what the fuck is happening? This kid's getting on a plane. I'm like, wait, what the hell
We
is happening?
forgot about the whole plot point in the 90s of like unaccompanied 8-year-olds that just ran around always doing things. That was like a whole theme
Yeah.
for a very long time.
Latchkey kids, man.
It's just like, wow, we really put a stop to that, like just in time.
Definitely like every day in the summer, parents just be like, I don't want to see you till dinner. You're just
Yeah.
out of the house.
Go.
Man, pre-cell phone life just sounds horrifying. Like
We were there, but yeah.
I know we
imagine,
were, but
like,
we were the unaccompanied 8-year-old. Like it wasn't
Yeah, I was fine
horrifying
with
for
that.
us.
Well, it's crazy that
No
they
one
could
has
be
bad
like,
intentions for me.
like the fact that they could be there and know that the flight doesn't leave till 7:30, and it wasn't like, oh, we'll just call the police and they'll stop the flight and get our kid immediately. It was like, oh man, we gotta chase him down. Like, and that probably they'd be like, well, can't you just go get him?
Yeah. It would be very easy for like, even if he's already on the plane,
You just
like,
make
you
a
tell
call.
the stewardesses or whatever, and they're like, okay, we're gonna put him in a room when he gets to New York, and we'll get him on a
handle
plane
this
back
immediately. Of course, sir. Let's locate your child. Everyone, high alert.
Like, no, he gets in a cab. He goes downtown.
Isn't that like
Hey,
something that happens in Home Alone? Like I
was-
feel like I watched that recently, and like she called the police and was like, "Can you check on him?" And they're like, "Isn't there someone else you can call? Like we're busy."
Um, yeah, and like just airports in general, how he goes to see Victoria off at the gate.
Yes.
It's like, oh, I forgot you used to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Huh.
It's really ruined the cinematic nature of waiting for someone to get off an airplane, because now you have to like wait in your car doing a circle because you can't stop.
Yeah. Yeah.
You try to chase somebody to their terminal, you're getting 15 steps before you get tased.
Yes.
At best case scenario for you,
And that's
and then a very unpleasant afternoon
think-
after that.
Do you
Not
think
great.
that is why there's no more rom-coms? Because this was
You
like
can't chase someone
this is
to-
a key part of most rom-coms.
I feel like I have seen this scene where like somebody like abandoned their shoes and they ran.
So 30 Rock has it where Liz just buys a random ticket so she can go through the gate, and she has like a really good sandwich that they say she can't bring with her. So she stops and eats the sandwich, and the security attendant judges her really harshly because she's like, she's choosing to eat a sandwich over like trying to catch up with this guy.
That's perfect.
30 Rock is good.
Did Friends do it?
Friends had several gate stuff. So Friends had the really iconic scene where Chandler has to go to Yemen because Janice won't leave.
What? I've never seen Friends, but now immediately.
Oh yeah, so it's
He's going to-
so yeah, he's just trying to break up with his girlfriend, but he doesn't have the stones, so to speak.
Ties in
to do it.
also hates her just because she has a hyena laugh.
Yeah.
That's a classic. Like this is what's
Janice
wrong
is
with
a
the
lot.
person.
So yeah, and this is a few years after Sleepless in Seattle. She has a substantially worse laugh than Victoria, though.
Yeah.
This movie comes out in 1993 and is at the 66th Academy Awards, nominated for Best Original Screenplay and Best Original Song. It loses both. Nora
Sad.
Ephron, I think, never won. She was nominated a few times for screenplay, but did not win. It loses screenplay to The Piano, which can't really quibble with. The Piano's awesome. It loses best song to Streets of Philadelphia, which is Bruce Springsteen, which I mentioned because Tom Hanks is in Philadelphia and wins an Academy Award. This is part of Tom Hanks's back-to-back Best Actor wins at the Academy Awards. As I said, he was pretty much on fire at this point in his career. So 92, he has Radio Flyer, which is fun. Then A League of Their Own, then Sleepless in Seattle and Philadelphia in 93. Wins Best Actor for Philadelphia. 94, Forrest Gump wins Best Actor. And 95, he has Apollo 13 and Toy Story. So probably just the best 3-year run anyone's ever had as an actor.
Yep.
So it's just an incredible thing. And that's, Toy Story, then That Thing You Do, Saving Private Ryan, you've got Male Toy Story 2, Green Mile, Castaway.
Holy shit!
But
Yeah.
then those are all in a row. That's nothing
Yeah.
in between. So.
I've always loved Tom Hanks, and I think it's just because like I remember all these movies and being like, wow, these are all great.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's just like,
Very
for a while
formative
there, he's just
year.
on fire. That 3-year span in particular, where he has a bunch of hits and wins 2 Best Actors, is just his best performance is probably Saving Private Ryan. It's not even in that span. So, or maybe Phil.
Yeah, it's not even like he
Philadelphia's
slows down after that
Nope.
span.
good. Nope.
It's just like
He
I'll just
keeps
fucking keep going.
Keep going.
His next movie that I'm really excited
Just
about.
gotta keep running.
He was in a movie pretty recently called Finch. Did anyone watch it?
No.
No.
No, sounds familiar though.
People dug it. News of the World a couple of years ago, people really liked. He's technically in the Borat sequel. I don't remember where. Anyway, I'm excited. This year, this year with an asterisk, we don't actually know what's going to happen, what's going to come out or get pushed. He is due to star in a Baz Luhrmann movie about Elvis, so I'm really excited.
I can see him being Elvis.
He's playing
is that-
Elvis's manager.
Oh man, I could
He's-
picture
he's
him
like
as
70.
Elvis though.
I was gonna say he's too old to be Elvis.
I think
Oh,
Elvis
yeah.
Elvis
in his
he is.
20s, right?
Okay, I was picturing like
Yeah,
this
so-
Tom Hanks we just
Yeah.
saw.
This Tom
could've been
Hanks,
Elvis,
yeah.
for sure. But yeah, he's old. I feel like the last movie I saw him in was a while ago. Now it was Sully. Maybe was that the?
Sure, yeah. I mean, he was
old.
Sully.
Yeah, he was old in that one.
Tom Hanks is a celebrity that I know nothing about his personal life outside of like movies. You never hear
Because he
like,
doesn't have any like
what kind of
crazy things.
person. Or, well,
Yeah.
yeah.
He was the first American to get COVID.
Yeah, I remember
Yes,
that
I remember
happening,
that.
and I was
Him
like,
and,
"What?"
his wife Rita Wilson, who was in Sleepless in Seattle.
I was
Yeah,
so
we haven't
worried.
That.
I was
Yeah.
very worried. I was like, oh my god.
We all
Tom
think
Hanks.
Tom Hanks and Rita
Well, we
Wilson are
can't
about
get
to
Tom
die.
Hanks.
Oh, yeah. So I'm just really excited because Baz Luhrmann hasn't made a movie since The Great Gatsby movie that everyone kind of hated. But he's still, I don't know. He's only made 5 movies, so we'll see.
Is this a Christmas movie?
No.
I don't really consider it that because they move on from that than New Year's and
Valentine's Day.
Valentine's
I would
Day.
call it a Valentine's Day movie. I think.
Do I think it's a Christmas movie? Not really.
Well, is Iron Man
There's
3 a
Christmas in
Christmas
it?
movie?
Oh my god.
No, it's like a Miami drug mansion movie.
Yeah, but it's at Christmas
This
time.
is a Valentine's Day movie. It's not even a question.
I feel like more happens at Christmas than it does at
There's like a
Valentine's.
big, terrible CGI heart on the Empire State Building.
There
And
is,
the thing is, even like the letter, like around, well, like just right after, even the letter mentions Valentine's Day. So even like in
know.
that beginning, they're still talking. You know what I mean?
I want to know what the threshold is for being called a Christmas movie.
Does anyone open gifts in this movie?
Ooh.
No.
Boom.
I guess not.
Well, you just
She
ruined
opens
Die
the
Hard.
ring,
Wait,
but not on Christmas.
Is Christmas about presents?
Yes.
She sings Jingle Bells.
See, now I'm thinking, does anyone open a gift in Christmas Carol?
How about in Die Hard?
yeah, I don't think they did
Yeah.
open one. Oh,
Yeah.
did they?
They open a gift?
Yeah, of course they do.
Yeah, it's a Christmas movie.
He has a large bear with a big bow on it. The whole
Oh,
movie.
you're right. You're right.
Hmm. That's not opening a gift.
It's
Oh my God.
a gift is presented, and Run DMC raps about Christmas.
Yeah, but they forgot the stepmother's gifts in the house, and that's why she went in a separate car and was late.
And those gifts are never delivered.
No.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Instead, she emotionally cheats on Bill Pullman with
Yeah.
a radio guy.
She emotionally, parasocially cheats.
Yes.
Man, poor Walter.
Poor Walter. That was one of my notes. Is Walter is such a good fucking guy.
He did not deserve that.
No. That I do want to specifically mention one Meg Ryan scene where she's listening in the closet. The whole setup to that is just such good physical comedy of her just like stumbling around the kitchen
Yeah.
and then eventually going in the closet, and then Walter finding her in the closet and her being like mad at him
Yes.
and like trying to play it off like, what's wrong? Like, why are you being so
oh, he had
weird?
a good joke
Yeah.
too. What was it?
Well, what?
Scarlett in the broom closet with the radio.
Yeah.
That's a good joke.
Wicked good.
That's charming.
He wasn't even like, "Why are you in the closet at 3 a.m.?" He was like, "I'm gonna make a joke."
I'm like, you're making this so much weirder. You're making this so much weirder. Like this would just be a normal thing that you're on the phone listening to the radio. You're chill.
Is that
Just be
a
like,
normal
oh
thing?
yeah, no, Rosie O'Donnell's character is like obsessed with this guy and his kid.
And we're talking
You
about
play
it.
it off.
Like roll your eyes and say, "I want to go to bed." Like, you know,
Or like, isn't she supposed as a journalist? Isn't she supposed to be writing about this?
she is
Yeah,
supposed
like-
to be writing
Yeah,
about
like
this. This
like,
actually is
for-
her job.
This is like I have to like my boss just told me this thing I'm writing about was on the radio is happening. I have to know it's happening.
Yeah, I don't know about the journalistic integrity of that particular person, but you know. With that note, Romcom's big picture, normally, and going into this one without having seen it before, I'm expecting it to sort of have certain beats and stuff. I remember when we did The Wedding Singer, we talked about kind of Romcom beats and how the 11th hour, like, oh, they think it's all going to work out, but then there's a misunderstanding and
Mhm.
they go opposite directions.
Yep.
That kind of stuff doesn't really happen in this movie because they don't meet until the end.
No.
The only kind of misunderstanding, if you even want to call it that, is that they stare at each other while she's standing in the middle of a road, and then she leaves.
I would categorize that
Because
as kinda
he
like
hugs his sister.
Yeah.
And she thinks that
Oh.
it's him. He
Yes.
found somebody.
Yes.
Right.
So that's
But,
sort
like-
of like a rom-com style
Kind of.
It's not
misunderstanding,
as-
but they haven't met each other yet.
Yeah, and she like mentions it quickly, like, oh, there was someone else, and they were like, well, you don't even know who that was, and she's like, oh, I guess so.
She makes a comment too where she's like, "Oh, she didn't look like somebody trashy. She looked like somebody that could be our friend." And
Yeah.
it's like, you don't know anything about this guy or the people he dates. Like, why would you assume otherwise?
Yeah. And it's not even trashy. She is one of many people to refer to her as a ho throughout the movie.
Oh, there we go.
The kid especially is just calling that lady a hoe.
Yeah, that's why she refers to him as a hoe, because she hears
He's
Jonah
like,
refer
the
to him
hoe.
refer to him as the hoe on the radio.
Yeah.
I definitely have a note that says Jonah throws shade so well.
He does.
Yeah, that way little kids just unguardedly will just unload on you. Yeah. That's
Oh, what did he say
it's
about
not like
the
you can
potatoes?
retaliate.
It's like
I've
Yeah.
never
Isn't
seen
it-
somebody cook potatoes that way before
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
something.
that's when I wrote that note.
Hanks'
Thank-
follow up. Yeah, we don't see a lot of potatoes around
Thanks
here.
for dinner. Never
We're
seen
rice
anyone
men.
cook potatoes that way.
I was just like, wow.
Everything he says is just he's an asshole the whole time. He's a dick.
He is.
Just love the way you delivered it too. Because what do you even say to that? You got nothing.
You just smile and wait for him to leave. That's
Yeah.
basically what they do. right,
Another
night.
good parenting move though. I feel like Tom Hanks did a good job explaining like when he realized his son was being like a huge dick. He was like, "Well, this is like what dating is, you know, like you try on people and, you know, I'm not getting married to her, like this is just part of it. This is what you wanted." Like
Yes, that's
Yeah.
a really smart conversation. That
Yeah,
isn't
yeah.
really in movies normally.
Yeah, I feel like all the conversations that he had with his kid were like on point.
Like actual adult reasoned conversations and not just like, I'll tell you when you're older. Now go to your room, you little idiot.
Right.
When,
Like,
Yeah.
when
Exactly.
I think he like scolds him about calling the radio station or something. He's like, "You don't even know who this is." She's like, "It's Doctor something." Her first name could be Doctor.
and how'd she get the address? You gave him the address, didn't you?
Yeah, so structurally, this doesn't necessarily comport with a lot of what you'd think about for rom-coms. Since you guys haven't been on in rom-com month yet, what are some of your favorites, even if they're only kind of tangentially rom-coms?
Oh,
Favorite rom-coms. That's
I just haven't seen rom-coms in a long time.
I always like 27 Dresses. That's a good one.
That is a good one.
Yeah.
I like The Proposal, I guess.
I like The Proposal.
That one's coming up a lot. I wonder if that's maybe like the last gasp of like a big deal rom-com for our generation.
That was the
maybe.
one that I said. I'm thinking though, Bridesmaids.
I don't think Bridesmaids is a rom-com,
Oh, is it
and I
not a
will die on
rom-com?
that hill.
It's like a friendship com
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
I say
because like
it's a comedy, but men like to call it a rom-com because it's got chicks in it.
Right.
yeah, I was gonna say
Right.
I would just say it was a comedy, I think.
Okay.
I mean, like there is like a romance, but that's like not really the main part of the movie.
no, yeah, like it
Interesting.
ends on her and her being Kristen Wiig and Maya Rudolph like dancing together at Maya Rudolph's wedding.
Yes.
Mm.
I think Chris O'Dowd's like watching, who's the
Love
yeah.
it.
the cop that she
But that is
ends
a
up dating.
phenomenal movie.
That's also
That's a
phenomenal.
great movie.
It's a
Great
very good
movie.
That's fair though. I hadn't considered that. It's not definitely not really a rom com.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely com.
Com-com. Yeah.
Com-com.
Yeah. What I'm trying to think. I feel like I'm blanking on like
I know.
solid rom-coms.
Well,
Name some.
yeah, okay, that's fine. It's tough because like I think that's a pretty good example of they just don't really get made anymore. So it's more like it's kind of got some rom-com elements, but it's really more of a whatever. But the big ones, if you Google it, are like, well, This Is There, Notting Hill's there. A lot of people consider Something's Got to Give up there, even though it's so weird. My Big Fat Greek Wedding,
Yeah.
People fucking love that
Oh,
one.
Pretty Woman. I like Pretty Woman a lot.
sure, that's in there. When Harry Met Sally is a big one.
Mm.
Okay.
I want to see what the recent
right.
rom
Honestly, I haven't
coms
seen a lot
even
of them.
are.
I do
Yeah.
like 27 Dresses. I liked this one a lot. This one was good.
This one, I think it's the structure thing that really got me because I mean, you
Yeah.
know, it's a rom com, so they're gonna end up together at the end. But like the fact that it took so long, like they didn't talk to each other like the whole movie.
It was so unique
Yeah,
structurally
like I
for
didn't.
a rom-com.
I
and
think that's the
why
thing
I
is like
it.
sometimes rom coms get tired because it's just you know exactly what's gonna happen when, and this wasn't like that. So it was I was more engaged with it because I didn't know what was gonna happen.
I mean, it's not this bad, but like sometimes it approaches like Hallmark movie level where like you
Yeah.
know so badly what's going to happen that it's like hard to like enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But this one absolutely threw me for a loop the whole time.
Have you guys seen Groundhog Day?
Nope.
I have, yes.
I think we might have been a little harsh on it in the last episode.
Oh, jeez.
I think we were because like then I'm looking at it and so many people are like, oh yeah, this movie's perfect, one of the best movies ever made, and we were pretty tepid on it
That's
in
okay.
our episode, which I think is fine. It's good to have a little variation of opinion, and I stand by what I said at least. Not implying other people shouldn't, but I just can't speak for other people. So just a funny thought
Oh.
I had.
Just Friends. You like that one?
I like Just Friends.
Yeah.
Clueless.
Never seen it.
Okay, you'll be on the Clueless episode when we do it. The Bridget Jones movies.
I don't want to see those.
Have you seen 10 Things I Hate About You?
I have, but it's one of those ones where like I don't know if I've seen it all the way through in one sitting because it used to come on TV a lot when I was younger. So it was like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. My Best Friend's Weddings, big one too.
I got one for you recently. It took me. I had to go from 2021 to 2018, but Crazy Rich Asians.
Yeah, that's a lot about like, class and
Google says it's a rom com.
Well, Google has a broad definition.
That was the first one that came up where I'm like, oh, this is a movie people will know.
Google says big as a rom-com.
He really dances the hell out of that piano at Hefe Schwartz.
Oh man.
But yeah, I guess there has not been a lot recently.
No, so
There's a lot on the list, but none of them are ones you would have like seen.
Yeah.
Oh, music and lyrics. I like music and lyrics a lot.
do
Yeah,
like
music and
music
lyrics is
lyrics.
from what, like 2006?
It's old, but
2007, so yeah.
yeah, we're just
Keep being 1 year early.
Yeah.
Easy
I do
A
like that one.
is a kind of recent kind of rom-com.
That might be a com too, though.
It's probably more a com-com, but at least it has some rom and teen comedy elements.
Yeah, I wouldn't have called that one a rom-com.
It's so good, though.
It is very good.
It's wicked
It's
good.
very good.
Love that movie. That movie is what sold me on what's her face?
Emma Stone.
Emma
What's
Stone.
her face? How dare you?
Cruella DeVille.
That's
I blanked for 2 seconds. But yeah, that movie sold me. I was like, oh, Emma Stone. I was like, oh, she's awesome.
she watched her mom get thrown off a cliff by Dalmatians. You will remember her name.
Oh my
sir.
god.
So there's a lot, but not so much recently. I really miss movies like this that I remember from when I was a kid or even like a teenager. There was still some up through like when we were in high school, kind of into like the mid thousands. And they're just gone now. I think a lot of it is, if it doesn't make $1 billion, major studios aren't interested in making things that are like mid-budget anymore. So you get like huge action movies and superhero movies, and it's kind of it, especially during pandemic times.
I do kind of stand by Deadpool being a rom-com. I'm just saying. I watched it again recently,
Well-
and it does kind of hold up as a rom-com.
That's how they try and spin things now, especially Marvel. That's like, oh, well, yeah, no one makes like political thrillers anymore, but Captain America Winter Soldier is essentially a political thriller.
Okay.
Deadpool's essentially a rom-com.
I see what you're saying. I
Yeah.
don't like that. I don't like when we start going down that road.
Yeah, right.
They're all
Um,
superhero movies.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like, if you want to make your whatever movie, you have to do it inside of this. There's just in the last week, there's been a few articles about, I guess, Channing Tatum had a fallout with Marvel because he wanted to make a superhero rom-com movie. And apparently his vision of it didn't align with Disney's.
He wanted to do a Gambit one, right?
Yeah. And he wanted to make it into a rom-com. And
I see that part. That's
it didn't work out. And now he doesn't. Now he
Marvel.
won't ever be in Marvel movies. So,
He won't even watch them, he said.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's probably a little.
Big
low.
hits of
It's
ticket
fine.
sales there.
Yeah. It was- Calm
fine.
down, Magic Mike.
But
Made
yeah,
a
Yeah,
show.
when I was watching this, I felt, and I kind of missed this kind of movie.
me too. They when they say like, oh, they don't make them like that anymore. It's too bad that it's about smartly written, really compelling movies featuring characters and actors with a ton of chemistry.
Yeah.
It should be. We should have 3 of these a year, and we just don't.
No.
No. Yeah, I mean, I keep talking about him, but Ryan Reynolds did put out a lot of those, and then he just kind of stopped. I feel like that definitely put a damper on it because he did Just Friends. Like, I
Yeah, that
feel
was
like he
literally
was
like
doing
20 years ago now, though.
Yeah,
It's because
Yeah.
he exploded and does
Exploded.
way.
way bigger things.
Now,
now.
he's doing the way.
Yeah.
the
It's
bigger
not like he's not in the ones that get made. They're just
Not
studio. The people aren't putting enough money to make these movies anymore.
Mm.
If they are, they're smaller. They're on, streamers. It's To All the Boys I Loved Before, directly on Netflix, made with, at the time, unknown actors.
Gotcha.
And also the dad is the guy from My Big Fat Greek Wedding. But aside from that, mostly kids who were like unknown actors. Always Be My Maybe, also made with like not as big name people, but also a cameo from Keanu Reeves. That's another Netflix one. Hulu had Happiest Season 2 Christmases ago. That's kind of where rom-coms are at now.
Interesting. Well, did they ever really box office very high though? Is the thing like?
Sure.
Oh, okay.
I know.
Yeah, these movies
I think,
used to make
Yeah,
that.
I think so.
I think My Big Fat Greek Wedding is like the rom com.
That's a bad example. That's like the rom com.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
like
Yeah, that's the highest grossing rom-com ever, produced by Tom Hanks. So he
Oh,
made a
no
lot of
way.
money on it.
yeah, good for Tom Hanks. Good for Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
Didn't Tom Hanks also like foot some of the bill for Forrest Gump
Yes,
because
he
they didn't
did.
they wouldn't give the budget they wanted, so him and someone else in the movie footed a bunch of the bill for like extra percentage points in it.
That's awesome.
And then it fucking made a shitload of money.
It might have been Zemeckis. I mean, he was super
I think
Yeah.
it was.
successful. I
It
mean,
was.
he's
Yep.
already
I think
made
him and Tom Hanks like
They told them they
allegedly
had to
footed
cut
the
out
bill.
like Vietnam. They're like, Vietnam is too expensive. You can't film it.
That
And Tom
would
Hanks was
not
like,
have been
no.
a good movie.
Yeah. We're like, no, this is
Again,
going in.
yeah, the-
another-
Oh, and they didn't want to do any of the like running scenes,
No.
like the running across America.
I suppose
thing.
those were probably very expensive shots for a very low payout.
They
Like,
ended up doing it, I think, in like 2 days or something. They just like got on a
Flying
plane and just
everywhere.
nonstop flew from like one location to another to film on scene, and they like paid for that.
Yeah, so rom-coms, they don't really get made anymore, and that's too bad. I really liked this movie, and there should be so many of these, and there's just not right now.
Yeah, I
It's
feel like
frustrating.
rom-coms used to be like, I don't want to say bad horror movies, but like, you know, like there'd be horror movies coming out all the time.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, there's also rom-coms coming out all the time, and they'd all make a lot of money because that's what people wanted to go and
Yeah, movies
see,
used to make
just
money.
to eat popcorn and, you know, watch
Yeah.
this movie.
enjoy something for an hour and a half.
Yeah,
In
exactly.
in the pandemic,
Feel
it's
something for
superhero movies, action movies, and horror movies are doing surprisingly well during the pandemic too in theaters. But
We're already
That's
living in
pretty much
one.
it.
We don't really need any more horror.
I know, right? Scream did really well though. Good for Scream. They already announced they're making another one. That's beside the point. I don't really have a game because I like talking about the context and stuff. But if you guys were making a rom-com today, who would be in it?
Oh,
Who would I cast?
I only just thought of this. Sorry, I didn't give you more time to think about it.
Who am I casting?
Who are you casting? Who's like really a fun person that can do like some snappy dialogue, get off some jokes. For a while, it was Jennifer Lawrence, right? But she's she took a break because everyone was so mean and weird to her.
I would I would say Chris Pratt, but I feel like that's not.
So now he's
It's-
gotten weird to everyone else. In
Yeah.
the other direction. Yeah.
He's a little too old,
Oh, that's fair.
in my opinion. I feel like
Hey, we
rom-coms
did
are
Something's Got to Give. It was between a 60-something-year-old and a 50-something-year-old. So
Mm.
Well, I suppose the rom-coms I feel like younger though.
Tom Holland.
Tom Holland.
yeah.
Tom Holland. That would be cute.
So
he
yeah,
could
it's
make
just
a
Tom
cute
Holland
rom-com.
and Zendaya.
Yeah, I was
is
just
the-
gonna say
is
you
the
just
pick.
fucking throw
Yeah.
Zendaya in anyway.
Yeah, I guess that's the pick.
Yeah, I could see something like that. That'd be
Oh,
funny.
I'd watch it.
I watched the shit out of that.
I feel like you want your rom-com to be
That's like a
the,
teen
oh,
rom-com
yeah.
kind of movie, you know?
I mean,
Yeah,
he
'cause
is
he-
a full-grown
I mean-
adult.
I know, but
She can play adult. I don't know if he translates. He made that like PTSD movie earlier in the pandemic that people did not like.
Oh,
So
Isn't he about to be in an Uncharted movie?
He is, yeah.
yeah, he's
He
yeah.
still looks like a child.
yeah.
I'm real sad because I had high hopes.
It's
such a
coming
good
out in like
game.
a few days, right? And like I don't know
I
that there's a lot
don't
of
know.
buzz.
That game was really good, and the plot of the game was
The
really
game
good.
remains very good. They just did a re-release package of all the Uncharted games to coincide with this.
That would be his chance to not be viewed as a perpetual child.
Oh no.
Is a serious like a movie that's like an action-y kind of
Yeah.
thing, but
The star of the games, Nathan Drake, is like a beardy dude who's nebulously from Boston and is like a kind of gruff, outdoorsy guy. And you got like wee Tom Holland
I'm gonna be honest.
sprightly bouncing around. Like, I don't
I've
know.
never played
Did they-
Uncharted, but I knew I had an image of Nathan Drake, and when I saw like the preview for this, I was like, maybe he's playing someone else.
I assumed Wahlberg was going to be Drake.
I was like, it can't. So I'm really confused because it seems like Tom Holland is the star of the movie, but I was like, he can't be Nathan Drake, right?
I mean, maybe they're doing something weird where like Tom Holland's his apprentice or something. I don't
That's
know.
what I was thinking because Tom Holland really can't.
And they're going to have him get like kidnapped and Tom Holland has to go save
Yeah,
him.
no, he's playing Nathan Drake.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
That's why I was like, if he's gonna have an opportunity, it has to be this. He has to have a fucking stellar ass action performance.
I believe in Tom. Let's
I
see
do
how
love
it
Tom
goes.
Holland, but
If we age it up a little bit, I'd cast Tom Hardy
for what?
to be in a rom-com.
Tom Hardy? I'd watch anything with Tom Hardy in it.
Yeah, I'd watch it.
So-
I'm literally Googling actors in their 20s because time isn't real to me anymore.
Well, it's tough because there's not that many. There's no like real celebrities being created
No.
from their 20s.
Right.
Because a lot of the superhero people skew pretty older.
Yeah. Daniel Radcliffe. I'd watch one with Daniel Radcliffe. He's done some weird stuff recently.
I
but-
would watch a rom-com with Daniel
I would
Radcliffe
watch
for
it.
sure.
I'd watch one with Chalamet.
Eh.
Timmy?
It would be interesting.
Well,
I can't,
Did you
'cause
guys watch Little Woman that year?
Yes.
I don't know why the inflection made me sound like I was saying singular Little Woman, but Little Women.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he has kind of a rom-com thing in that with Saoirse Ronan and Florence Pugh.
I don't think I'd like that.
Any pairing of which would work in a thing.
I would
think.
watch her. The shit
I was
of
gonna
a
say Sar-
rom-com. with
yeah, I
her-
was gonna say
Saoirse
her.
Ronan.
She'd be pretty good. I don't know.
She'll be.
She doesn't always. She doesn't always translate to me in like a non-period thing, but maybe she just needs to make more of those. I really liked Lady Bird, but
What's her name
I
from
I really like Lady Bird.
from Game of Thrones? The one that's
Other great-
married
what
to
you
the
mean.
Jonas Brothers.
the Jonas Brother, Sansa,
Oh, Sophie Turner.
Sophie
That's
Turner.
the one.
I just came across Wolf.
She seems fun. She seems like a fun
Ooh.
person. She's always
Maybe.
like wine drunk on social media. That seems like a fun vibe.
Yeah.
Will Poulter from like
Yeah, he's gonna be in the next Guardians, right? As the guy.
Adam
I don't
Warlock.
wanna-
Yeah.
Adam Warlock. He's on the list as under in the 20. I could see him in a rom-com, maybe. He'd have to be a different character than I've ever seen him play, but I think he could do it.
Yeah, he was in that horror game a couple years ago. He was pretty good in that.
Mhm.
How about Henry Cavill? I'll see him in a rom com.
Harry Cavill.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
like
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
I like him too. Isn't he like in his 40s?
He's older.
It's fine.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think it's fine too.
He's
He's
just so
kind of like the
handsome.
hunky actor right now.
Yeah.
So
What's the like?
Not to go just Mission Impossible Fallout, but him and the woman in that movie who I just completely lost.
I don't
Oh
know.
no. She's also in The Crown, the first couple seasons of The Crown.
Nope. Doesn't help me.
Oh no. She was in Hobbs and Shaw.
Does not help me.
Definitely doesn't help me. But Henry Cavill could fit in that. Like, what's that old type of like, shit? Not Gerard Butler. Oh, the Mel Gibson era where there was like the 40-year-old lead in the rom-com.
yeah.
We try not to do that anymore, but you're not.
That's fair. That's
Well,
fair.
I mean, it's
But no, you're totally right though. That's super a thing, and he can wear a suit. Absolutely.
Andrew Garfield. I'd watch him in a rom com.
oh, I watched the shit
I
out of
love
that.
Andrew Garfield. Yeah, I'd watch him for sure.
Yeah, Garf is a good pick.
Yeah.
Get him back together with Emma Stone. He clearly hasn't been the same since
I
they
love
broke
Emma
up.
Like
Stone.
that,
Yeah.
and I'd like Tobey Maguire to be one of the bad people in it.
He can't be a bad person.
Yeah, he could.
Emo Spider-Man.
Vanessa
No.
Kirby.
Honestly, I feel like
Vanessa
whenever
Kirby is the name I was trying to find.
Okay.
someone brings an actor or actress in to like play the opposite of how they normally are, I fucking love it. So if you brought Tobey Maguire in as the villain,
That's
I'd be like,
true.
oh, I'd like eat it up. You know what I mean? I'd be like, yeah, get him, Toby.
Everything you did in Spider-Man 3, just do that this whole time.
Jesse Plemons and his weird sinister energy as the protagonist of a rom-com would be very funny
Yeah.
to me.
I feel like
How about Brie Larson? I could see her in a rom com, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe. I feel like I don't know why I take her very seriously. I guess I feel like I can't think of her doing a lot of comedy.
All right. Well, we haven't named any actresses really. So how about we do like a gay rom com?
Hell
You know, I
yeah.
immediately thought gay rom com, but I thought two dudes immediately.
This is Timothy Chalamet and
No,
No, get him out of here. I don't want to see him in a rom
Oh,
com.
you're just still
I'm
in
co-
trauma from
Call Me
I'm
by
real
Your Name.
Call Me by
salty.
Your Name.
Real salty.
that's a
about that.
rom com.
from what?
Can't
Call Me by Your Name.
Oh,
Chalamet's fine, but you can't cast Army Hammer in anything anymore.
No.
No.
Chalamet and Holland. Bam.
Oh.
I ship that.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, actually.
No, I thought,
Maybe
we
like
thought you were
80
going to say
pounds
Army
between
Hammer.
them.
Oh, I don't know who that is.
It was an Oscar-nominated movie like a couple of years ago called Call Me by Your Name, and it was where Timothy Chalamet, is that
Chalamet.
Chalamet? He was the lead, and then there was Army Hammer in it, and they were supposed to be like this gay couple, and it's like this, but Timothy looks like he's 15 in the movie, and the other guy looks like he's 35.
Oh,
So
that's
it
shocking.
like
It just felt predatory.
It gave me this predatory vibe the whole
but
time.
it
I
was
don't think it was
supposed to be like,
to.
no,
It's Italy.
it wasn't
It's
supposed
always-
to be like that.
See, I want
I mean, it's
Timothy
Italy.
Chalamet as like the gay goth, and I want Tom Holland as the happy, upbeat, colorful goth, and I want them to fall in love with each other. Gay, sorry.
I'd watch that, I think. Yeah.
They did. So Chalamet and Zendaya did press together for Dune, and he complimented Tom Holland a couple times. So there's probably something there.
I like it.
There you go.
I ship the hell out of it. I'm gonna start this on Instagram. It's gonna take off.
Oh, you're probably late to that party.
This is fair.
Well, didn't Tom Holland and Jake Gyllenhaal make a bunch of jokes about how they wanted to be together?
Oh yeah. You could. Jake Gyllenhaal could be gay in a rom-com. He's done it in a serious cowboy
Yeah.
movie.
He's a lot older, though, so.
Yeah, we will have another Army Hammer situation.
Yeah,
going on.
it's the same thing all
Cowboy
over again.
movie, gay people.
Mm.
Oh, I really need you guys to watch Power of the Dog.
We will.
Is it a gay cowboy movie by
No.
any chance?
No,
no
no, no.
spoilers. Don't tell me, actually.
No.
I want to see for myself.
Aren't there enough gay cowboy movies?
That's
No.
every cowboy
No,
movie.
there's not.
That's
Right,
any
that's what I'm-
cowboy movie.
That's what I'm saying.
The more those just keep sending
Toy
them out.
Story. Dee's not that broken up about Bo Peep just disappearing in Toy Story 3. I'm just saying.
Mm.
She's just gone in Toy Story 3.
Yeah,
You haven't
she's
seen
just-
Toy Story 3?
Maybe.
He's not broken up about Bo Peep being gone, but anytime Buzz is out of there, he's
That's true.
So one thing that I want to get better at doing, this is late to the movies. We're all late to this. Would you recommend this movie for someone who hasn't seen it before?
for sure.
Okay.
I mean, especially too, like people know that it's a rom-com, so they have like at least an idea of what they're getting into, and you are recommending this.
Mm.
And it's just a great movie in general. Never mind counting the fact that it's a rom-com. Like if you're looking for a rom-com, this is going to be at the top of the list. But even if not, this is just a really enjoyable movie.
Yeah.
Great performances in it.
Absolutely.
Agreed.
I'd say yes, but with a disclaimer, because I don't know that it's aged well.
Hmm.
Like how are we
Creepy
talking
stalking.
with the creepy stalking? You know,
I think it's supposed to be creepy then, too, though.
you think so?
Yeah, because
Yeah, everyone's telling her.
Stop it.
she keeps asking her, like, is this crazy? And her friend is like, the craziest part is that it's not crazy. And I was like, you fucking lying bitch.
I think so, but I think it's one of those like, oh yeah, it's kind of like weird, but like I feel like if you put it now, it's really out there.
Wow, so Ray hates this movie.
No,
Right,
I don't
Rob?
hate it. I really like I said, I really like the structure of it because I didn't really know
Yeah.
what was gonna happen. So
Yeah, true.
and I really like the relationship with Tom Hanks and the kid. And Tom Hanks is just a national treasure. So
Yeah.
anything with Tom Hanks is good.
I would definitely recommend it. I think when I give those recommendations too, I try to think of it as like, would I have a lot of fun watching this again with somebody? Like if I said, and like, absolutely. I would love to like sit somebody down that hadn't watched this and say, let's watch Sleepless in Seattle.
Yeah, I think that's true too. I would definitely say that, like we've all been saying, it wasn't exactly what I expected. I knew a little bit more about the plot of his wife being dead, the radio call, them not meeting up till the Empire State Building at the end, but it was still like a pretty different in just how weird it is and the kind of weird heightened reality that the movie sort of takes place in. So I would super recommend it. And do you guys have any ratings you want to give?
Oh.
We sometimes do this. Sometimes we don't. But as far as it is as a rom-com and then just like overall as a movie, or you can just pick one of those or mix and match or whatever.
As a rom-com, I'd give it a 7 out of 10. So
Yeah.
above Wedding Singer and both, what was the other one? Sorry.
Something's got to give.
Something's got to give. And as a regular, I think I'd probably give it the same. I think just same rating, 7 out of 10.
Cool.
I'm right around there. 7, 8, 7.5, I guess, out of 10 is probably where I'd put it.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it.
I was gonna say
For on both scales, rom-com as an example of a rom-com and then as just like a movie.
Oh, I guess if I wanted to separate it, I'd probably give it higher on just a rom-com because I feel like now it's got a lot less competition if you're just looking at it as a rom-com.
Yeah, I think as a rom-com, I'd give it like a 8.
Mm-hmm.
As a regular movie, it might be like a 6.5.
See, I go in the other direction. This wouldn't be necessarily my pick if aliens came down and were like, show me rom-coms. I would say probably like around a 7 for that. This is a 9 as a movie for me.
Wow.
This movie kicked ass. It was so weird. I was so on its bizarre wavelength. I had a great time.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I thought the actual like romance was a little too much for me. I was like, ooh, this it was just hovering around the creepy level too much for me. That was a little hard to get into, but I liked the characters on their own.
That was part of the draw for me.
The whole time I was like, "Oh, Meg Ryan, you are so strange. Like this is weird."
She's really strange, but as my mom, who was walking by and then got sucked in and sat down about an hour into the movie, just went, "She's so cute."
Yeah.
She's so cute. Yeah.
I'm happy with my 7.5.
She's
My
too
thought-
adorable to be dangerous.
Yeah,
feel
well,
like-
that's the
That's
thing,
the
right?
problem.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
That's what makes it like kind of okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
If she doesn't look like Meg Ryan with her 7 miles of hair or whatever, then
I feel like
It's
I will never rate a movie like this that highly just because I feel like I want to be able to think a lot about my movies. My thought is like if I'm giving Silence of the Lambs a 10, I can't give this a 9.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
You know what I mean?
yeah, I just thought this movie was so smartly written, and
It is.
it's so difficult to wrap my head around how you would even begin to make this structure work, and the fact
It
that
is
Nora
true.
Ephron does.
Well, I guess that's a good. So, do you rate movies by how much you enjoy them, or by how well you think they were made? Which I think is two different.
Yeah, but I mean, to me, it's more just like this is how I feel about it, you know?
Okay, I got you.
Yeah, I try not to get too granular because then we'll just be really semantic and we'll all hate it, I think.
Perfect.
Hell yes.
Let's get there.
Let's get another degree.
But in this case, I think it's hard to make, and I'm really impressed with how it's made. And then I also had a really good time watching it. It's really funny.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, it
It
was.
was
Honestly,
hilarious.
that's why, like,
Yeah.
I would definitely recommend this to someone is because it's so much easier to recommend something that's like kind of light and funny because you're like, oh, I don't care who you are, you're gonna enjoy this. Watch the shit this kid says.
Right.
Watch what Tom Hanks says to this fucking kid. You're gonna die.
I really liked it as a rom-com because I feel like I know we say we don't make rom-coms anymore, but I feel like the last ones that I can remember, the comedy was like really forced in. Like sometimes it was like it's like the cringe humor or like I don't know, the jokes were kind of like forced on me. This one it was like like the movie's happening and the movie is just funny. It's not like we're throwing in a punchline now, you know?
Yeah.
So I thought that was really cool. I want more of that.
Yeah, movies when people have chemistry and you can just be like, oh, right, yeah, this is fun. I just love that shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. Anything else we want to hit before we wrap up?
One last thing I liked a lot in this movie, actually. I really like right in the beginning when I think it's like Tom Hanks' coworker tries to give him a business card for like a grief counselor, and he whips out a stack of them, and he's like kind of angrily reading them all and throwing them. Don't know why. I was like as soon as that happened, I was like, oh, I'm into this.
The names too was
Yep.
like spouses without partners, partners without spouses.
Really funny.
Love it.
Yep. Yeah.
It was such a dark start to a movie.
It's dark, but
I was
yeah.
really thrown off because I was not expecting it.
Yeah, you're in a storm there, but you can just got to grab onto Tom Hanks and trust that you'll get to safer waters.
Yep.
I love that even in that scene where it was so like intense, where he just sits down and he goes, "Don't mind him, he just lost his wife," and like to switch to the third person like that,
Yeah.
like I loved that. I loved everything about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
That was just a really cool way to.
Yeah.
Mm.
Mhm.
In the last episode, we talked a lot about, them living in a Hamptons mansion. I would take the Seattle water house over that. though.
Oh, absolutely.
Cool house.
Oh, 1,000%. And like the thing
house
is, it
is real
wasn't
cool.
an overly
Yeah, cool
large
house.
house, which I
No,
appreciate
exactly.
because I don't want to clean a big fucking house.
No, it's
Like,
just open kitchen and living room. And it seems like there was an office on the first floor,
bedrooms
and
upstairs.
bedrooms and
Yeah.
bathrooms upstairs.
And not
Yep.
many, like maybe only 2 bedrooms.
Yeah,
Right?
didn't seem
Yeah.
like a lot.
You mentioned that you thought it was interesting that the house like was not like really out of date.
It
so
wasn't
she's
super
like
dated.
either like they like just picked something that was like, wow, this is still good, or it like came back around.
It could be,
Or it was
came back
really
around.
expensive. I feel like maybe sometimes when things are really expensive, they don't really go out of date.
well, like a house like that on the water is gonna have a specific look that I don't think goes out of date. It's like a cabin type look.
I mean, it wasn't
Yeah, just
really,
like by
though.
necessity, it kind of that's what those houses have to look like.
have to
kind
look
of.
like.
I guess, yeah.
I mean, I think the furniture changes, but like
Yeah.
the design.
But all of it, I was like, oh, this, I don't know. I feel like early 90s decor, like you think of buying a house from the early 90s, like
Yeah.
you know what you're getting into. This wasn't that. Like,
Mm.
I feel like if you're going to buy an early 90s house, you're like, oh man, I'm ripping out all of this stuff. Then the linoleum's gone. Like,
true.
these
Yeah,
oak
that's fair.
cabinets are gone. Like, I feel like I could walk into that house and I could live in it and be happy.
Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah, I mean, you consider he's an architect too. I bet you if you went to any
That's
architect
true.
house
Yeah.
from the 90s, it probably still looks good today.
That's very true.
It's like This Is the End. James Franco designed his own house.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
I also thought something was going to happen with the kid. He had that nightmare about the house sinking.
I don't know if I remember that.
Oh, yeah. I said I was like, oh, this could be a premonition and turn into some weird horror
Yeah.
movie right now.
Rom-com
Well,
horror.
Yeah.
Probably just thinking about climate change.
It's funny because my aunt had like a beach house, and I always had dreams of like the ocean like just coming into the house. Yeah. And I was like, oh yeah, I've had this dream.
I think we are done. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was Sleepless in Seattle. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to get in contact with us, you can hit us up on Instagram. That's late to the movies _podcast. That's the number 2, not spelled out. Same deal with the email, late to the movies @gmail.com. You can send us episode recommendations, questions, etc. Hate mail. I don't know. Whatever.
Waiting for the hate mail.
Whatever drives engagement. And thanks for being yeah, that's all I got to say. Thanks for being on, guys.
Thank you. Last reminder for our viewers, our listeners out there: Frozen 2, worst Disney movie in the last 10 years. Thank you.
Interesting. Cool. My cousin was really upset at how little you guys thought of Wreck-It Ralph 2, just so you know.
I think way more of Wreck-It Ralph 2 than Frozen 2.
That's what I said.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is at least there's that.
It's a big gap there.
Yes. Yeah. We just said Wreck-It Ralph 2 is going to not age well, and that a lot of the jokes were like really, stemming on like internet culture of like today,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thanks for being on, guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thanks.
Adios.
Deus.